You're listening to Talk Star Wars, a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world. Hello there, and welcome back to Talk Star Wars, episode 163, the Star Wars podcast of Emotionally 14, no less. I'm Rob.
I'm Brad.
Hello, mate.
How you doing?
I am okay. I feel myself getting poorly.
Oh, man, we've got a fun weekend coming up.
I know, it's typical. This is always the way, isn't it? Like, it's just, I get excited, and my immune system goes, oh, excitement. I know it will go well with that. Congestion. Yeah, so I've got that to look forward to. So I will persevere as best I can, but apologies in advance, listeners, if this ends up being a slightly shorter one before I collapse of being full of fluid in places you wouldn't expect. How are you?
Mm-hmm. I'm good. I'll probably get poorly just in time for the weekend as well. But
yeah, it's off in the way.
Good.
Yeah, it's off in the way, but hopefully it won't be too much.
I live with a toddler, so I'm poorly most of the time.
They are little petri dishes, I hear.
They really are. Yeah.
But they're cute and stuff, so you can sort of forgive. Oh yeah. When it's me just kind of feeling sorry for myself, it's not as cute. It's not as cute. It's cute, but it's not as cute. But, is there anything new in your Star Warsy world?
Anything new in my Star Warsy world? I'm currently reading Master and Apprentice.
Yes. So look forward to
100 pages into it.
Yeah, look forward to review that hopefully next week, right?
Yeah, that's for plan. Yeah. It's Claudia Gray, who I love. I think she's one of the best Star Wars writers we have at the moment. I don't think I've ever read a Claudia Gray book I haven't loved. So
no, same actually.
I'm optimistic about where this is going, and it's nice to have some pre-Phantom Menace canon as well.
Yes, well, that's always obviously we don't really have any of that now. I mean, even before, I don't think we had a lot.
Yeah,
I can't even think of any. In fact, we had Clone Wars stuff, which was kind of a mix.
There's a couple of Yoda flashback stories in the Marvel comics series.
So there are. Yeah, okay.
But nothing of. This is the first one of substance, I suppose.
Yeah. So we'll be hopefully we both have a copy to read, and hopefully we should be able to talk about it in next week's show. So look forward to that. In the very not too distant future. In fact,
there's a new Star Wars magazine launched in the UK as well, which is Star Wars Galaxies.
I did not know that.
No, I only noticed because I used to buy a Star Wars magazine for my daughter, and there was like a few months with nothing, and Star Wars Galaxy. Turned up, and it's definitely a kids' magazine. It's not Jigsaw. It's like word searches and where's Wookiee.
Yeah,
drawings, and there's a Rebels comic in here.
Having a magazine that came with a Jigsaw every week would probably get quite expensive.
Yeah. This one was pretty cool. Obviously, our listeners can't see this, but it came with this notebook.
Oh wow!
Featuring Vader cover, but it's a hardback notebook.
Oh, okay.
It's really for
that's really
$3.99. It's awesome. Yeah,
it's really cool. I might have to get one.
Yeah, totally.
Is it available in all good magazine shops?
Well, I got it from Tesco.
So, okay.
Probably, yeah. It's easily obtainable, yeah.
Yes, indeed, yeah. Well, I have a Tesco's not far from my work, so hopefully I could potentially make use of that.
I mean, for $3.99, it's worth it for a notebook.
Totally, yeah. And I'm always, I'm always taking notes on things. So, it would be nice to have a cool book to write that in, because I have a pretty cool book here, and I'm about halfway through it. It's you can see there, it's a Kylo Ren themed one.
Oh, nice.
That I bought from the Identities exhibit at the O2 when it was in London.
Yeah,
and
my daughter's been in a very Star Wars mood this week, so it's mostly been Star Wars cartoons and movies all week, which is. Yeah, it's just fine. It's hard to be the disciplinarian when she's saying all she wants to do is eat pizza and watch Star Wars, and you're like, "We've got stuff to do," but I get it. I really do.
Yeah, is she working on that novel finally and just lacking discipline?
Yeah. Yeah. So what have you been up to?
I finally, we talked about it. I can't remember if we talked about it on the air or just before we went on about turning my iPod Touch into a Star Wars device.
You mentioned it in passing.
Yeah. I'm not sure whether it was on air or not, but I did it. So I've got basically, I'm pretty sure it's all of at least season 1, maybe season 2 of Rebels, and all the cinematic movies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think the only thing I'm missing is the Clone Wars animated movie, not the Tartakovsky one, obviously, because they're...
Yeah.
I don't even know if they're available to buy on iTunes and places like that.
I have no idea. I have it on DVD. I've not even looked. Hopefully they'll be on Disney Plus.
Let's hope. I mean, I suppose it depends, doesn't it? Because if they,
I don't know the ins and outs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously it's all up in the air a bit, what with the Fox merger as well, which is finally finally happening.
Yeah. New Aliens movie is confirmed. So.
Yeah, indeed. And they also confirmed that Deadpool is going to be, you haven't seen the last of him in Marvel movies. So,
oh, awesome.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool because people are worried, which is fair,
Yeah, totally.
He does jar quite heavily with the rest of the Disney portfolio.
Yeah, but at the same time, Disney are very, very good at making money, and you don't. Yes. It's not good business to buy something that's doing very well and then change what it's doing. So, if you buy something that's a horror franchise, you keep it as a horror franchise. You would keep Deadpool as Deadpool.
That seems fair to say. Yeah, makes perfect sense to me. But in any case, it's nice to have it confirmed.
Yeah, absolutely.
They also showed, apparently they did a sort of little event about it, and they also showed things like X-Men montages with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and stuff. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah, so at the very least they're going to be, they've got the X-Men and the Deadpool things kind of locked down. Obviously, are they Fantastic Four or was that Sony?
They are Fantastic Four. Yeah, okay, Fantastic
so there you
Four
go.
was a big.
Yeah,
I think Sony was just Spider-Man. To be honest with you, I might be wrong.
I think you might be right, actually. Venom is still Sony, I think, as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a Spider-Man character.
Yeah. I suppose, it's anything associated with web slinging.
Actually, I don't know who has the rights to Namor. I don't know who would own that, because it's tough because he could be considered a Fantastic Four character, but he's also the first Marvel character, so he actually predates everyone.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So, it's a very... a lot of that, I think, is kind of peculiar legal ground.
Yeah.
So hopefully this if nothing else, this Fox kind of purchase will just clear the air on that.
Yeah. Or
to get a sense.
Namor on the original Human Torch, I get the feeling with the same tie. So it was back when you buy a comic at 5 or 6 stories in it. Yeah. I think the original Human Torch and Namor were the first Marvel characters.
Cool. Nice. That's an interesting bit of trivia there. The more you know and all that.
It happens when you hang out with me.
Well, quite, yes.
Which you people get to do audibly.
Yes, this is true. You get to do it via audio.
I am fantastic.
Well, I'm not going to... I think you'd be hard-pressed to find people who could argue with that.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
I think if I wasn't, you'd even up with me by now.
That seems fair. I mean, it's been, coming up on 14 years?
2005 we met, I think.
Yeah, it's 14 years coming up this year.
We should have an anniversary party next year.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan, actually.
Yeah.
Sounds quite good. Go and see whatever movie is doing the rounds then.
Yeah.
Presumably it'll be, I don't know.
No?
Yeah. I don't know if there'll be anything.
No, maybe we'll all be dead.
That's the spirit.
Yeah.
Let's bring the tone up.
Yay!
Vesuvi's written in.
Hey!
Which is always nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Brad.
You're welcome, Vesuvi.
In regards to Australian Dave's observation, the humour in the opening scene of The Last Jedi didn't bother me, but was made especially palatable by Kennedy's line, "We need to scramble our fighters," then under his breath, 5 bloody minutes ago. For me, that highlights the disparity between inexperienced and experienced tactics, both in the movie as well as in the real-world production. The Empire seemed to have been led by seasoned warriors, while the First Order is trying to do things in a way that makes sense to fresh eyes, yet proves to be less effective. Will they learn from those missteps by evolving in Episode 9? We shall see. Do I prefer the style of humour from the OT or in Solo? Yes, I do. Let us never speak of 90% of the humour in the prequels, but by golly, it worked on my youngest niece and nephew at the time.
Combat Butler.
So, original trilogy humour, top tier. Prequel trilogy humour, bottom tier. Sequel trilogy humour, middle tier.
I'd roll with that.
Yeah, I think that's a good ordering.
Yep.
Can the unevenness be jarring for some viewers? Clearly it can, judging by the comments and debates over the last 16 months. I do my best to watch the newer movies through the eyes of younger folk who appreciate the styles in which they're presented. When something doesn't land for me, I'm not derailed from the bits that strike me as effective and brilliant. I suppose, dispositionally, even before Rose's words, I intend to ignore what I hate and save what I love. Perhaps Qui-Gon said it better. Your focus determines your reality. Let's not forget Yoda's tidbit. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Let's tie it in a bow with Luke's word from Return of the Jedi. Let go of your hate.
I like her. She gets it.
Yeah, she does. She's good people. Responding to Diecast Desperadu's query, I agree with Brad that the leaked poster isn't anywhere near what the official cinematic one will be. It strikes me as one of those discount collectibles which will end up in Target or Walmart.
Yep.
It's still official, yet less skillfully compiled. If it winds up being a complete fake, that wouldn't surprise me either.
Yep. No, I stand by it. It's either a very good fan project or, just as you say, a bit of a naffy proper one.
Yeah. So Vesuvi continues, to clarify what Rob was explaining about US movie ratings, R is below, not above NC-17.
Ah, okay.
NC-17 replaced X because of the association with pornography. But the MPAA doesn't even bother with pure pornography, so those are unofficially rated XXX. Consider me your pornography expert. I actually did attend an adult awards ceremony in Los Angeles a few years back.
Challenge accepted.
It was tremendously entertaining. I loved your hilarious toy pitches. How about a life-sized, battery-powered, plush Kashyyykian webweaver spider that would actually eat unruly children?
1-to-1 scale.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Why not, right? Sending Jogan fruit-flavoured kisses and Kabatha gut-scented hugs. Vesuvi, Knight of the Commonwealth.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing I disagree with there.
No, indeed. It's a rather wonderfully put together email.
Yeah, well done, Vesuvi.
Indeed. So our next email comes from Andy C.
Awesome.
And Andy was the one who, a few episodes ago, sent in the who would win in a fight between questions.
Yes.
You remember those?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I think we were on the episode. I think I missed the episode. I think it was you and Carlos.
It might have been me and Carlos, or me and Andy, one of those two, I feel.
You and Carlos fielded them because you were of the opinion that Kylo Ren could take out Darth Tyrannus in a fight, which then as soon as the episode dropped, I sent you a load of angry emails.
Yeah. They must have missed out on the filters. That's weird. Doesn't matter. I usually filter out that stuff, but you know, so I can print it.
Send to the police.
No, just for fun.
Okay.
Yeah, I've kept most of my. I haven't ever had a lot of hate mail, but I've kept what I've got.
Mm-hmm.
So, Andy writes, Team TSW. Life administration has prevented me from contacting you as quickly as I would have liked following my most recent correspondence with regards to your views on the likely winner of various Star Wars celebrity death matches. Though this was now some time ago, I really enjoyed listening and glad you got a few laughs out of it too. Thanks for covering it and for the top content since.
You are most welcome. We are for the big.
We are for the big. In fact, conversations that go off the rails are our speciality.
Absolutely.
On last week's discussion about useless Star Wars toys, the idea of a Black Series severed appendages line immediately comes to mind.
Yeah, okay.
It's intriguing that it instantly comes to mind. That's peculiar. It tells us a lot about you, Andy. Yeah. The collectible appeal of gathering the various dismembered limbs from across the trilogies is obvious. These would come in a full-size box with a plastic holder made to accommodate the rest of the figure, which would, of course, be absent. The opportunity for an ARMS booster set alone is clear, from the Wampa and Ponda Baba through to Dooku, Anakin, and Luke. I'd even expect that to make these less useless. Sorry, I read that weirdly. I'd even expect that to make these less useless, they could be designed in a similar way to the popular Mr. Potato Head toy, so that you could remember. I like that. Remember.
Yeah, it's good.
And construct your own hybrid Star Wars hero from all your favourite bits. Should you wish to consider in more depth, here is a link you may find helpful. And he sent us to a StarWars.com article, Every Limb Lost in the Star Wars Films.
Okay.
And I don't know if, I don't know how well-founded the complaints about slow news days are when stuff gold like that is a result.
Yeah.
In other news, I've recently acquired the Legion core set and started painting the miniatures.
Awesome.
For about £55 on Amazon, this feels like a real bargain, as the detail on the models is fantastic and painting them has been really fun so far, though the paints, etc. are an extra cost. Yeah. Look forward to getting them on the table for a game soon. All the best, Andy. That's a good price actually for the old core set.
Yeah, but it's good.
Yeah, I've never really bought tabletop stuff from Amazon apart from I think I've bought maybe a card game or something.
Yeah,
but I don't think I've ever gone down the board game route.
I've very rarely bought for Amazon. Usually, if I've had like vouchers or something, my main way of buying tabletop games is either through a local store or go to eBay and then filter price low to high.
Yeah, and it's nice sometimes because you can, if you time it right, you can find something that ends just like late in the evening, or sort of, you know, just on that kind of cusp of when it becomes late in the evening, early in the morning. And usually that means that people are less likely to be bidding on it. And I've won a few good things that way.
No, but I hope you enjoy Legion. It's we certainly do, because it's Farwin ready. It's a year old today at the time of recording it. I can't quite believe it's been a year or just over a year because of production time. Yeah, that we've been working on that. It's absolutely amazing.
It's very cool. It's it's nice to have something like that just kind of, obviously the game's held interest, held your interest, held Ian's interest.
Yeah.
And we've used it for convention, for convention bits and stuff.
We've done 2 conventions with it. So it's been fun. Yeah, I'm not saying you have to start doing conventions or anything, but enjoy. The paints are an extra cost, but if you're buying a good brand, someone like Citadel or Army Painter, they last forever. I mean, I've been actively painting and collecting miniature games for about 6 years. And I think I've blown through 3 pots in that time, all of which were like blacks, whites, and greys because they get used on everything.
Yes,
they last forever.
Yeah, they're very good. They're very durable in that respect. I found certainly the Army Painter stuff is what I use, and that's a lot of my colours are still the ones that I bought when I first started painting. Yeah,
no, they will see you through.
Yeah, and the only reason I've not run them out is mainly because I don't get a lot of time to paint. But at the same time, it's they're durable for sure. No argument there.
Yeah.
In terms of Legion, did we talk about the Clone Wars stuff last week?
I have a feeling we did. Yeah.
I feel like we did a little bit. Yeah. But I've actually seen some of the bits now.
Yes.
And it looks very cool.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. Last episode I mentioned about there being the rotating.
Oh, that's
models.
Right. Yeah. And the Grievous had the 3 different types of thing.
That's we did touch on it. Cool. Professionals.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I think the sculpts look great. They really do. Well, what I said to Ian when we were last filming was they've announced the first wave of expansions for it, which was for battle droids and the clone troopers.
Yeah.
Which are the same ones that are in the core set. To the surprise of no one, because with the core set, they released add-on boxes of Stormtroopers and Rebel Troopers.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to do the droideckers and the speeders, 8% thing. But also in Wave 1 of the Galactic Civil War set was the AT-ST and the T-47.
Yes.
So what's the big stuff coming for Clone Wars?
It's a good question. I mean, the obvious one that springs to mind is the Separatist tank, the one that you see kind of, the one that Jar Jar made us to take out by sort of... Yeah. I can't remember.
For the Republic, I'd love to see that walking tank, like the one that goes up the cliff face in the movie.
Oh, yeah, the one that looks a bit like something out of War of the Worlds.
Yeah. I mentioned that to my dad. He said it looks big. I said, yeah, but it's probably only about as long as the AT-ST is tall.
Yeah, I mean, you would be able to get stuff on the table around it. Obviously you might want a slightly bigger, like maybe a slightly longer map.
You can fudge scale slightly for these things anyway, as long as it looks good.
Yeah, I think I'm sure they have. I'd be very surprised if it wasn't the case. No. Incidentally, I can't remember if I mentioned it on last week's show, but I played through the campaign of Battlefront 2 recently.
Oh, awesome. Did you enjoy it?
I did. It did everything I would expect it to do, which was prepare me for multiplayer. Which a lot of those games, like Call of Duties and Battlefields and stuff like that, they end up kind of giving you a taste of all the different guns and game modes and things like that. And the Battlefront campaign, obviously, by the end, I'd been, Inferno Squadron, whose name escapes me.
Inferno Squadron.
Iden Versio. I'd been Iden Versio and all
the heroes.
Yeah, I'd been some heroes. In fact, I think you're right. I think I've been all the heroes.
Certainly Lando, Luke,
Leia, Han.
And Han. Yeah. I think that must be all of them.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, you don't get to be the villains.
No, I enjoy the Lando level actually because it's a sweet cape.
Yes, it really is a sweet cape. It really is. And if it's not Billy D, then it's a very, very good Billy D.
I thought most of the voice work was good.
Yeah, I think my only kind of one is Luke's. The guy who does Luke does. He gives it a good go.
The guy who does Luke has apparently never seen Star Wars.
Maybe they said, who looks a bit like him? Sebastian Stan. Just go with that.
Him.
Yeah, just do him. So, really? Because I could just, do the real guy. No, it's fine. It's fine. It'll be all right.
The sequel for the part 2 of the campaign is a lot shorter. You've done like 2/3, 3/4 of a story if you've done the first part, but it's fun to do it, to play with the sequel era stuff.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, the ending is like sets up what is going to, what's presumably going to be that sort of part of the campaign. I'm guessing it feeds in it dovetails in quite nicely.
Yeah, it's a lot shorter the second part, but it's worth playing through. It'll fill up. You could probably do it in a couple of evenings.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing it's obviously something that you buy separately as DLC. So mine was included.
Oh, was it? It just unlocked when you completed the first part, yeah.
Oh, I'll have to double check that. Yeah. But if not, then I can always just keep an eye out for sales and get it. Yeah,
I don't think Battlefront 2 had any paid content. You could certainly
you might be right, actually.
Certainly in terms of extra match stuff, everything that I don't remember forking out for a pass or anything. I just bought it on the PlayStation Store, and everything's been free. I've not paid for anything extra.
I think you're right. I think it came with when they did the Last Jedi stuff. I think that it was when it came on there as part of that download.
Possibly. I'm quite slow, so I might have just assumed it was there the whole time.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, I was even slower because I only just finished the main bit.
Okay,
there you go.
Yeah. But enjoy Legion.
Yes, indeed. It's a jolly fun game. We like it very much. Obviously, we've just got Krennic to look forward to, and the Death Troopers have just popped out.
Yeah, just arrived. And maybe we will see you at a convention sometime, Andy. I have no idea where you're from, but I'm guessing Britain.
He bought his Legion core set in GBP, so if he's not, if he's not from the UK, he's taking advantage of those exchange rates.
Yes.
He may be from somewhere that's just way more expensive. Who knows?
Yep. Who knows? Yeah, but hopefully we will.
Yeah. But if you're a tabletop person, then there are numerous conventions and such around the country, and we tend to go to a few of them.
We do what we can.
Yeah, exactly. So, even just as fans, at the time of recording, we're going in a day, the day after tomorrow, we're going to one.
Yeah.
So we're going to be, I'm sure, looking over some stuff, probably come home with a few bits.
Probably Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, and coming home with a few bits that, let's be fair, we probably shouldn't afford, even if we can.
It's what we do.
Yeah, it's very much what I did last year. So I'm fully expecting, I'm fully prepared for that possibility. So, it seems like pretty likely, to be fair.
Yeah.
So, Andy, as I say, as Brad says, enjoy Legion and let us know what you think. And obviously, if you're after getting a sense of what's good in terms of new units and expansions and stuff, we can recommend a really good YouTube series.
Absolutely.
Yeah, War Corgi is very good.
War Corgi's great.
I'm kidding. It's Fire When Ready, obviously.
Yeah.
But he is very cool, actually.
Yeah, he's
War Corgi
is
very good too. So,
Wargie.
Wargie, exactly.
Yeah.
So our third question, which is, for now, it's going to be the final one. So basically, we got I'm sure we mentioned before, the Commonwealth question of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And this time round, we've had one from Bradley. Now, Bradley has sent through a long list of questions, and it's an extensive list. And what I thought we'd do is, to get the most enjoyment out of it, I thought we'd break it up into chunks. So he sent over, I think, about 15 or 20 questions.
We can break them down. We can blitz them. I'll follow your lead.
Yeah, that's cool. So we'll see how we get on. But because we've not actually been going for that long at this point, so
no, exactly.
There's no reason. Yeah, we'll see how we get on. So let me just as a backup. Let me just get the full list up, just in case we do blitz through these.
This is fun because I can only see the first 5.
Yeah, well there you go. So the next one to be some surprises. Yeah, we'll get some surprises in there, so that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Right. So in the meantime, Bradley sent through his first. So this is the first 5 from the list.
Okay.
What is
where time takes us?
Yeah. So what is your favourite Star Wars era?
To the surprise of no one who's been listening to me for the past year or so, Galactic Civil War.
That is fair. I mean, when you think, maybe we should narrow it down a touch.
Okay.
Like maybe go a bit more granular, because obviously we only really have 3 to choose from otherwise, right?
Well, Old Republic, Clone Wars, Galactic Civil War.
Old Republic.
New Republic. Yeah, Second Galactic Civil War, I guess.
Yeah. So you kind of...
honourable mentions, or do you want to zoom into Galactic Civil War?
Well, let's kind of break it down sort of piece by piece. So we've got Old Republic's pretty thin now, I would say. There's not really a lot there anymore.
It's Phantom Menace, basically, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And even then, obviously, it's only sort of mentioned in passing, and it's not really. Yeah. Like, obviously, you've got sort of not Crate. Bane, thank you. In Clone Wars turns up.
Yeah.
So obviously there's references to it, but in terms of, canon stuff, there's pretty much
history, nothing. But it hasn't been explored yet.
Exactly, yeah. So there's that. In terms of, so them kind of going through the eras, prequel era is pretty much
prequel era fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
I like a lot of Clone Wars stuff.
Galactic Civil War.
Yeah.
Like you say, Republic era. Or that kind of, there's a little bit of, very short sort of era of contention where it's called the Empire and Rebels going back and forth.
Aftermath.
Yeah,
era,
exactly. Aftermath era and like the Battle of Jakku and stuff in Battlefront 2.
It's kind of between Jedi and Bloodlines as it stands at the moment.
Yeah, and incidentally, the Battle of Jakku in Battlefront 2 was awesome.
Oh, wasn't it just?
It was so cool.
I loved it in the first Battlefront, but doing it in the story mode in Battlefront 2 was amazing.
Yeah, indeed. It was, just going from ship to foot to ship to foot, back up to space and all that stuff. It just really went to show the potential of, all that stuff, all those engines.
Yeah. The whole Battlefront thing, I just give you a very a unique perspective because none of the movies really do that war, that grand war.
Yeah, indeed.
You see it a little bit maybe in Rogue One and a little bit maybe in like the first act of Solo, but you don't get that. It's more like a Saving Private Ryan type deal when you're playing Battlefront.
Yeah, true. It's, I just really, really love that level. It's probably, of all the levels, it's probably my favourite because I had so much fun doing it. It was challenging, but it wasn't so hard that I died loads of times.
Yeah.
Unlike, what was it that I had to restart loads of times.
The one that took me forever was Han Solo trying to kind of holding off the stormtroopers, waiting for the Falcon to power up.
Took me a few goes. The other one that got me was there's a level when you're in space on the in the TIEs. You're in an X-wing, and Hask, is it the villain, like the one who's part of your team, and then you sort of go your separate ways. It turns up in the TIE Interceptor, and you have to fight him while simultaneously fighting two other TIEs who are sort of gunning for you all the time. That took me so many attempts. A couple
of difficulty spikes, but overall, it was good.
Yeah, indeed. It was a really good game, really good experience. Not very long, so it was good in that respect as well. And it was that. But the Battle of Jakku in particular was excellent. The Lando one was good because, as you pointed out, Sweet Cape. The Luke one was okay. It was a good storyline mission, but I didn't really feel that enamored with it otherwise.
It felt too much like the Luke level felt too much like the first Flood level from the original Halo.
Yeah, actually, I can see that. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Hey everyone, I referenced the video game.
This is cool. Yeah, I mean, you get one of those, maybe 2 a year, so enjoy that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. It's
a tabletop gamer thinks he's people.
No, it's true. It's very much reminiscent of that. In fact, now you mentioned that, I can't think of any other way of describing it.
Sorry.
Nicely done. So that was, the Han level was good, but like you say, it got tough at the end. The Leia one was fine. The Lando one was cool. The Battle of Jakku was excellent. Otherwise, bits and bobs kind of, there was moments I liked, but otherwise it was just kind of all much for muchness.
I liked that Leia's level was on Naboo. It kind of tied her into Padme a bit.
Yeah, it was nice, And obviously this is kind of, by the time that happened, she's figured out her heritage. So, she knows that, well, I don't know if she knows that Padme's her mother by that point.
No, I don't know.
No, maybe that's where she finds out. Who knows?
Yeah, no, it was just even just like a thematic tie-in rather than a storyline tie-in, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice.
Yeah. But Galactic Civil War is my favourite era. What is your favourite era?
I would be inclined to go the same way, to be honest. Just because Rogue One's there. and that's kind of a part of the. Obviously, it's a part of Star Wars I absolutely adore.
Mm-hmm. It is a sweet cape.
Just again, and obviously it's Mendo, it's Cassian, who's a rather, I'm increasingly warming to him because he embodies that complexity that I keep knocking the sequel films for not having.
They'll go with that.
He's that kind of tough. He's that tough character, but he's also he's flawed, and he's not. He's not kind of. He's self-aware with his flaws. He understands that he's doing imperfect things in order for the greater good and all that. So he's he's bought into the mission in every respect he possibly needs.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
It's non-canon anymore, but I did really enjoy the new Jedi Order series as well.
That was really good. Yeah, it was. It's a shame that none of it
was really good.
It's a shame that none of it has been brought across, but at the same time, I totally understand why you might do that because it's hard to work around stuff like that where you've established enemies that are basically.
It was good to be a part of it, but I'm also happy with the new stuff. So.
Yeah, no, that's a good way
it's just fun memories, I guess.
Yeah, no, totally. Okay, so we're concurred on Galactic Civil War, yeah?
Yeah, okay.
Definitely. I mean, the sort of second Galactic Civil War, we haven't really seen all of it yet. It's hard to judge effectively. Plus, also, it's obviously causing me some turmoil, and has been since the movie came out. To be honest,
what movie is that? Sorry,
the Last Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
It's been
never heard of it.
No, I know. It gets touched on every now and then. Favorite duel?
It's got to be Mustafar.
Annoyingly, if it wasn't for the fact that Yoda's in it, I would say I really like the first Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Dooku. Because Dooku's that kind of slow, deliberate. He's not kind of jumping about all over the place. He's not over kind of emotional like Anakin. But he's smooth and he's And then Yoda comes in and they battle the Force powers back and forth, and that's cool. And then the lightsaber comes out, and I say. Audible laughter in the cinema I was viewing it in. And
no, I didn't have that. I was kind of stunned by it when I first saw it, and then later it occurred to me it looked like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, this is basically it. This is the problem I've got with it. It doesn't quite land, and for me, it's kind of. I've always seen Yoda as somebody who can do these really impressive things and not have to do that stuff.
Yeah, to me, it's weird that he had such an aggressive style. He should have been more like Luke fights in Last Jedi. He should have been that Bruce Lee fighting without fighting method.
Yeah, exactly. He should be, he should be more about using the opponent's momentum against them. But actually, what he is just he's like speed and kind of death by 1,000 cuts. Yeah. He's like trying to get in loads of little shots.
It didn't really gel for me with what we already knew about the character, but George Lucas knows more about it than I do.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'll go with his creative decision at the end of the day because he is the maker. But it was odd, and it didn't quite.
It doesn't sit quite right with me. No. But
exactly. I definitely see the appeal of Anakin, Obi-Wan, Mustafar from a story point of view. Obviously, that sort of goes without saying to a degree.
Yeah. Actually, Yoda versus Palpatine bothers me less.
Okay.
I think that's because of the way it's shot with them destroying the Senate as they're fighting. It actually has a symbolic weight to it that Yoda fighting like Sonic the Hedgehog against Count Dooku doesn't.
Yeah, and I suppose it's because also a lot of the time they're just using the Force. They're not really... The lightsabers kind of turn up at the very beginning. I wonder if he kind of took that on board, that people weren't kind of universally in love with the Yoda lightsaber things, and they just kind of use it more sparingly.
Totally possible.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what other good ones there are, because obviously...
the sequel trilogy ones have left me cold, generally. I mean, the throne room in Last Jedi was pretty cool.
It's cool visually, and, that counts for a lot, obviously, in a lightsaber duel
scene.
In a duel scene it totally works. But it doesn't. I know what you mean.
None of them really have stuck with me like the Mustafar. I think the Mustafar one was a fight I waited my whole life to see.
Yeah, because you'd heard all about it, and obviously if you'd read the novels, they'd touch on it.
That fight was why we went to see the prequels.
Yeah, because you knew eventually that was going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
To, you know.
For emotional weight, I like Ahsoka Vader in Rebels.
Mm. Yeah, I can see that. Do you know what? Now I say that, actually, I mentioned... I didn't identify it as my favourite because my favourite is Luke Vader, Death Star 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because, both from a storyline point of view, choreography, the music, everything just kind of comes together, and it's that culmination of everything you've been sort of building towards at that point. And that makes sense to me, you know. I know what you mean. It's the sequel stuff doesn't. Maybe it takes time and repeat viewings.
Yeah, maybe.
But it just doesn't land as much.
I don't dislike any of them, but as I say, they haven't stuck with me like the others have. So maybe it's just an age gap thing. Yeah, there's people younger than me who really, really, really love Rey Kylo fight or
they could well do. I mean, it's obviously got some storyline stuff.
Mm-hmm.
By that point, I don't know. It doesn't quite, let's say, they don't quite land for me personally in the same way. Let's say the throne room scene in episode 8 is cool, but at the same time, it's cool, and it's very visually impressive, but doesn't necessarily, for me, kind of have any resonance. I'm going to go with Luke Vader, Death Star 2.
Okay, cool. No, I'd be cool with that.
We would be remiss if we didn't call out Duel of the Fates from episode 1.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that is one of my favourites. Actually, I don't know. We kind of went off on a bit of a conveyor, but yeah, I almost said that before I said Mustafa.
Yeah. What is it that kind of tips it for you? Just the length of time you've been looking forward to it.
The symbolism behind it, the music, the editing, the fact it does cut between that and Yoda and Palpatine. It's everything about it is flawless.
Yeah, it resonates quite heavily as well, because obviously it's there's lots of little bits and pieces in there that kind of work nicely together as well.
It's the only time you see two blue lightsabers fighting.
That's also true. Yeah, that's the kind of thing you could easily miss otherwise, because there's no. I mean, there's not more than two on screen generally, apart from, let's say, episode 1, the Colosseum on Geonosis, and then the throne room on episode 8. It's the only time you see more than two, generally speaking.
Yeah, in fact, I think at the start of it's kind of it's teased earlier on that it's like the fact it's two blue lightsabers going at each other, that is the collapse of the Jedi, it's the symbol, and that is actually framed earlier on at Dooku's death scene, where Anakin is holding a blue lightsaber and a red lightsaber. Yeah,
and obviously he pulls his arms apart to kind of just take out Dooku's head.
Yeah,
as he's one to do. Turns out.
But yeah, that's I think that's always been a lovely bit of symbolism that he's got. One hand in the darkness. Yeah, no, it sort of sets up, it foreshadows nicely for the rest of the movie as well, because obviously that's the whole premise of that film is that slow. It's in Attack of the Clones when he meets Dooku, he gets Obi-Wan's lightsaber, doesn't he? So he's got a blue and a green fighting a red. Yes, then goes to a blue and a red. Genius. Yeah, no, it's very cool. There are a lot of things to like about the prequels, even with its faults. There are so many little bits and pieces like that are just nice little. Nice little nods. People focus on its shortcomings way too much. There's a lot to love in the prequel trilogy. Yeah, I do understand why people do, because there are some things that are quite egregious. There's some valid complaints in all eras and all. But they got a bit of unfair kicking, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, over time, I think people have softened on them a little bit. Yeah, totally. Time is a great healer. Or just people. There are people now who were 8 years old when they saw it at the cinema and loved it, and are now adults and able to appreciate it on another level as well. I think that's probably something to do with it. I think you're not wrong there. Yeah. I really am. Yeah. I don't know if I'd go that far. I don't know if I'd go that far. Favourite scene? So, this opens it up to everything. That's a big one, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Man, that's... Yep. Wow. Yep. Huh? Yeah, it's tough. Am I right? Yeah, hey. Cool. What a scene. I mean, there's a lot of scenes.
Yeah, there are some scenes. There are certainly some scenes.
Quite large scenes.
Well,
some small scenes.
Let's go.
There's some short scenes.
Choose a few.
Some quite long ones.
Let's choose a few bits and pieces from various films. So pick something. We won't pick every. This won't be one. We won't give multiple answers for this question. I'll make you pick one at the end. But let's kind of go through and
okay. I love the Nova is Another scene.
Okay.
I just always love that. I think it's for the tracking light shot at the end gets me.
Yes, it's very well done. That really well done.
Yeah.
So from episode 1, is there a scene that really jumps out for you?
I mean, as you mentioned, the Duel of the Fates is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is.
It gets and it still gets me a little bit every time is Anakin saying goodbye to his mum.
That is quite sweet. Yeah, obviously because it's all he's ever known. And you know where he's going as well.
Yeah.
So we know what his trajectory is going to be by the time the trilogy's over.
Yeah.
So you kind of go, oh, don't, in a way you're kind of like, don't do it, even though he's totally going to, because he has to for the film.
In terms of pure spectacle, I think the pod race is superb.
Indeed, yeah. I remember when we went to see it, me and my dad, we were in the old UGC, Old Virgin Cinema. So it's now a Cineworld in a couple of towns over. And they had this premiere screen. It used to be, now it's like a just normal screen. You can go in there and watch a film for the normal price. But at the time, it was a premiere screen, and it was, one of those ones where they bring you, they give you the option to get food during the thing, and they'll bring it out to you. And
all that stuff. I saw the special edition of New Hope in it.
Yeah, super comfy seats. We were sat so close to the front that during the pod race scene, it's one of those things like, when you do VR and a lot of people suffer from things like motion sickness.
Yeah.
I was amazed that didn't happen to me because we were in the front row of the front row.
Yeah.
And, it just ended up really, really involved. And then to go back later on and see that in 3D was also similarly excellent. Because the way it's a shame really in a way that the 3D conversions didn't have more love, because the way they did the 3D conversion was the way I like 3D conversions, which is they just add depth of field. They don't try and, because obviously it wasn't a film that was shot knowing it would be 3D. Yeah. So a lot of the films that do that make a point of throwing something at the camera that then embeds itself, and you go, whoa, if you're,
we can't not. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, with the Phantom Menace, they didn't have that because it wasn't filmed that way, because it was never needed to be, and they never they wouldn't have been able to conceive that 3D would be a thing again.
Yeah.
So they just did it.
They were going to do all 6 originally, weren't they? And that seemed to just fall out as 3D became less fashionable again.
Yeah, I think they certainly had ideas of doing the prequels and then kind of seeing how it would go, and then the Phantom Menace just didn't light the world on fire at all.
I think 3D is no longer really a thing as much, apart from for kids' animated movies.
Certainly nowadays, I think it's not even a thing at all anymore. I don't even know if animated movies get so much love at the 3D in the 3D space. Really? Yeah, digital's the way, But other than that, I don't know that anything does.
No, I've seen very few films in modern 3D, and I don't know that it added much.
I'm trying to think of the last one I did 3D, actually. It would have been a while ago.
Might have been Prometheus for me, to be honest.
I know I did Dread.
Okay. There was very few I went going, we'll go to a 3D showing. If I saw a 3D showing, that was what the time scale to I turned up was for 3D showing. Yeah,
or they just didn't have the option to go and see it in 2D, because some films were a bit like that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I think I did Civil War in 3D.
Okay.
Which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I did Force Awakens in 3D, I'm fairly sure as well.
Definitely did Prometheus, because I remember there was a bit of a fuss about that. There was something to do with the way they shot it. It's quite a dark movie. If they had to artificially darken it afterwards, other than 3D wouldn't work.
Yeah. I don't know.
I did see the Phantom Menace 3D this year, because, Star Wars.
Yeah, fair. You wouldn't
Clash of the Titans I saw in 3D.
Oh, my sympathies.
It was fine. It was CG monsters for a couple of hours. That's what I was expecting.
Yeah, I think that's a good.
I normally get put off by remakes that kind of ignore the artistic message or emotion or raison d'etre behind the original. Mm-hmm. But the remake of Clash of the Titans going, hey, look at our special effects, when the original Clash of the Titans was, hey, look at our special effects.
Yeah,
I didn't really mind it so much.
Look at these skeletons we make move with the power of...
It's just a spectacle fun film anyway, so that didn't
I get that.
Me.
Yeah, I can see what you mean by that. It's... Okay, so for episode 1...
Oh, yeah, Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah, I guess the pod race would probably be my pick.
Yeah.
As much as I do like the Duel of the Fates, we don't really have anything like the pod race again.
No, that's true.
Maybe the Kessel Run, but even then that's a lot slower paced.
It is, yeah. No, there's nothing quite like the spectacle of the pod race. Attack of the Clones...
Geonosis is obviously awesome.
Again, that's a bit of a spectacle. I don't know.
Sonic Charges?
Oh, it's such a wonderful noise.
Yeah.
We're just picking up the Ben Burt showcases here, aren't we?
Basically, yeah. Well, I mean, he's a big part of it, though.
He is.
Much in the same way as John Williams is a huge part of Star Wars. Ben Burt is equally important, I feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As you know, I quite like Obi-Wan's fight with Jango Fett.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that kind of you could kind of lump. I suppose it is a separate scene, isn't it? I was going to say you could sort of lump in the Camino fight with the pursuit, but they take place quite sufficiently far apart.
I do really like Obi-Wan trying to infiltrate in inverted commas the cloning facility. It's just that throwaway line of I suppose you want to inspect the troops. That's
why I'm here.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah,
it's winging it.
Incidentally, did you see that? Cypher Diaz is going to be in the audiobook. The Dooku Jedi Lost one.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But because when I first saw Attack of the Clones, I took away that Cypher Diaz was Sidious.
Yeah, I think that's,
a kind of a lymphanogram type way.
Okay.
But, obviously not.
No, he's obviously definitely a person, but I always got that impression too, but in the sense of not so much the name, but just... Well, that's clearly Palpatine pulling the strings behind the scenes,
Yeah,
because he's a wrong 'un, isn't he?
Maybe Cypher Diaz turns up in Master and Apprentice as well.
Maybe, yeah. I think that's why people found it out. Maybe,
yeah.
Because somebody pointed out that Master and Apprentice might have mentioned him in there, and then somebody pointed out that they're doing the voice for Cypher Diaz in the audiobook.
Okay.
It's a massive cast. It's about 70, apparently.
75, I heard. Yeah.
That's madness.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Madness are in it as well.
Yeah. There's bits where it's just...
A bit by this point, sure.
Yeah, exactly. At that point, it's like, who else can we bring in? It's just... I can just imagine they're sitting in the Jedi Council thing and just...
Luke said no, the specials are busy.
Yeah, specials are busy, yeah. Can't have that. I'd say from episode 2, probably the Geonosis Coliseum is just that whole moment where they suddenly reveal themselves is really cool.
Good job. Yeah.
Yeah. Good job. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Episode 3. I
mean, honourable mention to the CG floating pair.
Obviously, you have to go some with.
What did they CG that with? PowerPoint?
I'm not sure. To be honest, I have no idea.
It's one of those. I don't think it's dated badly. I don't think it ever looks good.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that it's kind of exposes the limitations of the tech. It exposes the limitations of whoever signed that off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Tough scene. I really love. Oh man, top scene from Revenge of the Sith. I really like from the start of the space battle of Coruscant, when the buzz droids going around, kind of through to the last family homestead where they've got baby Luke.
Yeah, that's
it. That
that's
whole
a good scene. Yeah,
is an amazing, probably one of the best scenes in Star Wars.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, it's a 2 hour 18-minute scene.
Yeah. It's as scenes go. It's on the lengthy side.
On the
that's
long
fair
side.
to say.
Yeah,
I feel like Endgame will probably top it by then. I'm going to go for a little bit more granular than that.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm going to pick the opera scene with Palpatine and Anakin, because it's just so good.
Yeah, that'd be my serious answer. It's amazing acting, amazing direction, amazing music, and just the fact it's Star Wars is almost in the background.
Yes, it's just really good.
There's nothing really Star Warsy about it, but it works.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a really good exposition scene that just kind of drives home if you haven't already figured it out, he is not to be trusted.
Yeah.
And he just, and you can hear it kind of dripping off him when he's talking.
Not from any Jedi.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the sort of, and it's the look of slowly panning to Anakin or panicking.
Yeah.
It's just that slow. Everything's so deliberate with him.
Actually, that Order 66 is superb.
That is good.
The whole montage is amazing.
Yeah, the montage is good. I think I'd still stick with the opera scene.
Yeah, I think I would too. But if I'm allowed an honourable mention, in Order 66.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, if you're talking moments in Episode 3, just that bit where it's John Williams is it Padre's Ruminations? Mm-hmm. Where she's standing at the window, he's standing at the window. They're not looking at each other, but it looks like they are. Mm-hmm. And it's just no words are spoken, and it's just just great. It's just faultless in that respect. New Hope. It's hard.
Retention block breakout.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's kind of
from arriving with Chewie to the trash compactor.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's the Han is brilliant. It's action packed. It shows instantly how capable Leia is. Mm-hmm. I like some of the running around the Death Star stuff as well. Like I think the swinging across the ravine is brilliant.
Yeah.
The detention block breakout I think might be my favourite.
Okay, I could go with that. I think it's that makes a ton of sense.
Anyway.
Yes, that makes a ton of sense. I think. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that kind of jumps out. I mean, obviously the Death Star attack gets you hyped.
Yes,
it's very easy for you to get sort of sucked into it.
I think it's easy to forget how strange that must have been if you'd not seen the action figures or any promotional art or anything like that to watch an S-foil unfold for the first time. We've never had that.
Yeah, I suppose so. We've not had, we have the benefit of
experience.
We have the benefit of hindsight with all of this stuff, so we know there's a relevance to certain things. Mm-hmm. But it's just what I love about George is just that he thought of little cool things like that. Mm-hmm. These ships are going to be shaped like an X, but they're going to be sort of shaped like a pair of T's until they're ready to attack and then X. Yeah,
because
exactly.
of all that air resistance there is.
Yeah, indeed. Empire.
Oh man, don't do this to me. Battle of Hoth, probably. Walkers. This is visually amazing. The I'm the Father scene is still superb.
I think we understate, it's easy to understate with the benefit of hindsight how pivotal that is to the trilogy.
Yeah.
Obviously now it's a little bit.
Yeah.
Trying to think. I really love the carbonite freezing scene.
Very good.
Yeah, that's probably going to be, that'd be my pick from Empire, I think.
Okay.
Jedi.
We've got a few there. Jedi. I really like the Battle of Endor on the ground. I think the whole Stormtroopers, Newarks, the ATSTs stamping round. Mm-hmm. I love that ground battle scene.
Yeah.
A lot of humour in there as well.
Yeah.
Battle of Endor on the ground I love.
Okay.
I do think Escape from Jabba's Palace is great.
I was going to say Escape from Jabba's Palace, mainly because it's kind of that swashbuckly Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I'm quite a fan of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. To be honest, Leia and Chewie turning up, that scene is brilliant.
Yes, that is very cool. There's quite a bit of tension considering that you have no idea really what's going on in the grander scheme.
Yeah, I can remember watching Jedi as a kid and not knowing that was Leia at first, which is I don't know. Maybe I'd seen it kind of piecemeal. I'd seen bits and pieces, but I can remember quite clearly watching that scene and being surprised it was Leia.
Yeah, because at that point
you're like, been really small. Because I've been watching them since I was tiny.
Yeah, but I mean, we've been, I would have started watching it when I was about 8 or 9, I guess.
I was definitely younger than that.
Yeah, I've been watching it for a couple of years before the special editions came out because I knew to go and see them.
I definitely had some Star Wars action figures when I was like 3 or 4.
Okay,
but my parents would be huge Star Wars fans as well. So
yeah, I mean, for me, the pick would be Jabba's sail barge escape.
Yeah,
because
I had to Return of the Jedi R2-D2 because it was one you rotated the dome and a lightsaber. Shot out the top.
I know the one.
But I was born in '82, so it might have been an original.
Maybe,
Jedi era one. Yeah,
could be. I think I had a lot of like beta action figures from boot fairs and stuff.
Yeah,
was my kind of
I definitely had Luke dressed as a stormtrooper.
Okay,
and I had black outfit Luke.
Yep.
I had a Darth Vader. These ones that have the lightsaber in the arm.
Yeah,
it was like the right arm was hollow with a coloured rod inside.
I know the ones. Yeah,
up the lightsaber. I did have a 3. I had Leia in like the Cloud City outfit.
Yeah,
I'm quite small, so and I definitely had a 3PO and an RT.
I had a lot of stuff.
That might have been it, to be honest.
Yeah, I had a fair few bits and pieces. Like I say, we collected most of them from boot fairs.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the Tatooine Luke. A lot of it was I had the figures, but not the original things like the rods and stuff. I had to sort of swap them out for other things.
Mm-hmm.
I had the Obi-Wan, I had the Vader. Like I say, a ton of bits and pieces that were just picked up for sort of 50p a piece.
Yeah. I might have had a Chewie. Now I'm thinking on it. I might not.
I had the 3PO you had to reassemble from Empire.
No, I don't remember that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very cool.
But I didn't have any big play sets or vehicles or anything. I had a lot of Master of the Universe was my main thing, toys-wise.
Yeah, I had a few bits and pieces from Master of the Universe, but no, Star Wars was my main thing.
I think I had a few little, as I said, I was born in '82, so I think they were still knocking around.
Yeah.
But realistically, I think of our home video was a thing by that point. I think they realistically thought they're bringing these toys out in 2 or 3 years' time, Star Wars would be forgotten about.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as kept in the public eye as it is now.
It's fair to say I don't think anybody was expecting Star Wars to take off as much as it did.
Yeah, I mean, it's very different now. Like I know in 5 years' time there'll still be Star Wars comics and Star Wars toys for my daughter to get into, if she still likes it. Because if she doesn't,
I don't know.
I think realistically it'll still be here.
There'll be something. Yeah. I don't know whether what form that will take, and the nature of it might change because the nature of we've talked about this at length. The nature of pop culture has changed, and things just don't persist as much as they used to.
Yeah.
So there may be, we may be looking at a whole new line of characters because they would have just kind of kicked off the old ones and.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
There was a big old gap in the Star Wars action figures between that, and I think the next time I saw Star Wars action figures around, I must have been like 10 or 11. I was probably too old to really be buying them.
Yeah.
It stopped me. I was definitely into Master Universe. My brother was into Transformers and Ghostbusters, so that was our era.
Yeah, yeah. But say I had some He-Man stuff. Including but not limited to the really weird futuristic one they did.
Oh yeah, the New Adventures of He-Man.
Yeah, I had a bit of that, but
it was
not the best.
It didn't take off. No,
which is weird because it was sci-fi, right? But you think things would take off in that.
It wasn't the right time.
No, indeed. Yeah. You had a lot of stuff that was already kind of doing that job and doing it fine.
The 2002, I think, that remake I really liked. That was really good. But that was more targeted at people who were kids when the original came around. It was a bit more adult.
Yeah.
But that's not a Star Wars thing.
No, indeed. So we've talked about Jedi at some length.
A bit. What's after Jedi?
In terms of saga, Force Awakens.
Okay, if we're sticking...
We can come back to the.
movies.
We can come back to the standalones afterwards.
Okay,
but for Force Awakens for now.
Okay, favorite scene in Force Awakens. That's not how the Force works.
That is fantastic. We touched on that in the talk about humor and stuff in Star Wars last week, but that line, I love it.
Everyone,
I love it. It's just so good.
Yeah, really, you're cold.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably. I like the Takodana where the Resistance turns up for the first time.
Yeah,
and you see that they're retrofit. They've got X-wings and they've got all the sort of classic stuff.
Yeah, I think so. It's the only scene in Force Awakens that I'm not a fan of is Raftars because it just feels quite prequely.
Yeah, it's almost got like a bit of a Indiana Jones 4 vibe to it.
Yeah, it didn't land. The Raftars don't land for me.
No, it's a bit silly.
I think that whole scene could be cut out and you wouldn't lose anything. Get rid of the gangs hunting down Han because it doesn't actually lead to anything.
No.
The Raftars doesn't lead to anything. It's a fun action-packed diversion, but it just feels very prequel to me.
I feel like the intent is it's little things about seeding that Han's still the same old sort of swindler, and that there's a little bit of Rey doing stuff that is seen as kind of fortunate. I don't think that either one is especially effective at what it sets out to do. I don't think it's the best. I think it does. It sets out to do a job. I just don't think it does it necessarily very well.
I agree completely. Yeah. But that's my only real gripe with Force Awakens, to be honest.
Yeah, there's not a lot to dislike about it, really. My pick for that one would be first appearance of the Resistance.
Yeah, I do like that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last Jedi.
First scene, Last Jedi. What be it well?
I can give you a few.
I liked Luke and Yoda.
That is nice.
A lot.
Yeah,
it was nice. Like not a second. It was like no time had passed at all. Just right back on Dagobah.
Yeah.
I love that. I loved that scene. Actually, before he goes out onto the battleground, I liked Luke and Leia meeting again.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite nice. That's quite sweet. And obviously it's designed to have this kind of emotional resonance, which, I don't know if it necessarily works as well given the fact that it's all a ruse. And I would say it raises questions. But at the same time, we've done those to death.
Yeah.
Throne room scene's an obvious one. I quite like the Battle of Crait.
I did like them killing off Snoke, to be honest. That was
quite cool, yeah. Just the sort of surprising nature of it.
Yeah.
I remember sitting there
because we've overanalyzed that a lot, we tend to forget the initial impact of that.
Yeah, totally. I remember sitting there in the cinema and seeing it going, okay, now what?
As you know, for Force Awakens, Han's death scene is amazing.
Quite powerful, yeah.
I've seen that in the cinema for the first time when he calls out Ben's name. Just inside, I was just screaming, "Get out of there! Get out of there! Get out of there!"
Yeah,
I just didn't. I knew it was going to happen, and I just so didn't want it to.
Yeah, I think it's a really well done scene, especially because they actually sort of play with your emotions a bit and make you think that he's kind of coming to, and then he suddenly just.
Yeah, just all the way through that whole scene inside, I was just screaming for him to get out.
Yeah, yeah. It is. I agree. That is a good one. And again, it sets up Rey's reason to dislike Kylo Ren. It sets up Chewie to go rampage, which is always fun.
Sorry, I heard Archer's voice in my head then.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay.
Yeah.
So then we did Last Jedi, Rogue One.
Yeah. Oh man, all of it.
Yeah.
The initial, what got me in the cinema was Tarkin turning around.
Yes. And actually walking away from the window.
Yeah, when he did his face in the window, I was like, okay, they've got someone who can do a good voice of him, and that they must have just CG'd his face enough to get that reflection effect. And then when he turned around, it's just like, you said he was dead.
Yeah,
how
exactly.
Was he in this film?
Yeah, this is him. And I just remember sitting there thinking, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just the sheer balls of doing that.
You said he was dead. Yeah. Wait, is Christopher okay?
Yeah, it's just the fact that they did it was just so wonderful. They weren't put off by, like you say, it would have been very easy to play it safe and just have him space the window.
And that was impressive enough in and of itself.
Yeah, totally would have worked.
Literally any scene with Ben Mendelsohn in, the standards, my achievements. With standing amongst my achievements, not yours, is amazing.
Yeah. Just that whole interplay.
With Tarkin and Krennic, to be honest.
Yeah. Just their interplay is great.
Yeah. I feel there's a room for a Firewind-ready spin-off called Tantrums with Tarkin.
Grand Moff Tantrum.
Yeah.
Why not?
I like the congratulations you're being rescued scene as well.
That is good. I mean, K2 is wonderful in the film. Would you like to know the chances of her shooting you? It's high. It's very high.
Yeah, that was a brilliant casting as well.
Obviously, Vader corridor scene.
That's. Oh, you know what? That might be my pick for the entire saga, the corridor scene.
That's fine. I mean, ultimately, you know,
it's
very, very good. Yeah,
it's cinematographically, it's outstanding.
Yeah,
and it's the first time you really saw a Vader like that outside of the Kieran Gillen comics.
Yeah, totally. It's also nice because there's a really simple bit in it that's really well done. That just you know, we saw Kylo Ren in Force Awakens stop a blaster bolt in midair.
I know exactly what you're going to say, and I
never seen completely. It done.
Yeah.
Then Vader not only does it, holds it, throws it back.
Yeah,
and just by doing that, he establishes that he's even more powerful than we've ever known him to be.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's doing all that while throwing people around, slamming people against walls, swinging his lightsaber like it ain't no thing. Just all of that.
Yeah. That like hierarchy of power. Yeah, Vader is. I think I've said before that it throws a couple of other parts of the saga into harder relief, which is I think it makes the Massacre of the Younglings worse.
Yes, because you don't see it.
But it's the stuff like them trying to run away from him and him just force choking them and throwing him against the ceiling.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But again, it's because you don't see that with the younglings.
But then a little bit of a clue of that, I think, that makes it worse. The other thing, I think it reframes, kind of building off on what you were saying about him being just this unstoppable force and being more powerful than Kylo Ren. I think it throws into even sharper relief that a dark side Luke could physically batter him down. Yeah,
it's it like you say, it does. It adds. There's nowhere it doesn't add.
No, but which is something. Is because it's one of those, because you've seen so much you overlook at it. It's not Luke outmaneuvers him. It's not Luke outduels him. It's Luke physically overpowers him
and just beats him. Yeah, like you say, just beats him down and immobilizes him.
Yeah,
and wears him out. Which I can't imagine is that difficult. Cardio-wise.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's really hard to get him out of breath when he's got a machine doing it for him.
Yeah, but then if he's doing it, like machines work at quite a steady pace.
That's true, yeah. So he just... But then again, if it gave him a stitch, that would probably make him angrier, which would thereby give him more power. Maybe the reason he's so powerful is he's got a permanent stitch.
It could be that, yeah. I almost don't want that to be the case. Because you just hear in Rogue One just reframing it with him just going, ow.
This is why he's so cranky in the Death Star meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I've just come from my chair where it's really nice and I've got it set up the way I like it.
Actually, we were listening to the original radio play of A New Hope a little while ago. And I'm just conveying a bit here. A couple of bits that had never really occurred to me.
Okay.
Was, maybe I'm just being an idiot and it was obvious to you all the time. But why is the only part of the message that R2 can play a fragment of the "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope"?
I've never really thought about it, I guess.
3PO says, R2 says maybe the restraining bolt is interfering with it.
Yeah.
So he takes restraining bolt off. R2D in the radio play, R2D2 fakes that so that Luke takes restraining bolt off so he can run away.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, but that never occurred to me that was a reason for it before, and I felt like an idiot.
There's going to be stuff like that where you're just like, yes, of course. But
and it was when I was listening to that Death Star meeting, it's like they're talking about how great the Death Star is, and Vader just out of nowhere goes, "Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed. The power to destroy planets is insignificant next to the power of the Force." And that's a really weird thing to bring into a meeting.
It's basically like, I'm just trying to think of an analogy in the real world.
It's like if you're in a meeting, office work, and someone brings religion into it for no explicable reason.
Yeah, but like, it's like if you were to go, well, we've just had delivery of 100 Trident missiles. It's like, yeah, but Jesus.
Exactly what it's like.
Yeah. Yes. But it is, it's odd.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, it's exactly what it's like. It's a really odd thing to say. So I can understand, Motti being a bit put out.
It's just like it's every damn time. Every damn time with this.
Every time.
It's bloody pamphlets. I've had enough.
Do you remember when the coffee machine broke down on 7th? He wouldn't shut up about the Force being stronger than caffeine. It's just so incongruous. It's just a really weird thing to say. So why has he brought that up again?
Yeah, why is it? Why is that relevant?
Yeah, it never occurred to me before. No, just what a weird segue to take the meeting into.
Yeah,
yeah. So that's my favourite scene of Star Wars.
Just the idea of the delivery of the nuclear submarine has been brought forward, so it's actually going to happen a month ahead of time. Allahu Akbar. Okay. Sure. I mean,
thank you, Jeff.
That sounds fine, Jeff.
Yeah.
But can't help but wonder why you raise more questions often, Jeff, than you answer, and you're one of those business speak guys at the best of times. And I just can't get my head around where this stuff comes from.
The good news is our quarterly sales have actually been steadily increasing for the past 4 years. Yeah, a bit like the Pope, eh?
It's when you put it like that, it's
like the Pope, Dave. Yeah,
it's like the Pope. Yeah, sure. That sounds absolutely
to be in every meeting.
Yeah, so I can't help but feel like him. Yeah, he's being used better elsewhere. I mean, not for nothing. He smells like burning flesh from earlier. I can't imagine showering is particularly safe for him.
Does he just dry clean himself? I don't know.
This is like, can you imagine him just going to... Can you imagine that, though? Like, just him going to the dry cleaners and just...
Well, I suppose he just gets dunked in that Bacta tank, doesn't he?
I suppose so, yeah. But then what happens to the suit?
Being dry cleaned.
Yeah. Does he do it, or does his fellow...
Whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Vesuvi told me his name once and I promptly forgot.
Yeah, the guy...
Farty Bart first.
That's the one, yeah. And does he just go along to the local supermarket or something, one of those bigger ones that's got the dry cleaners built in, and just
he goes down, sits in the laundromat. He's just picturing this Sith acolyte sitting there with a newspaper and a sherbet dib dab waiting for Darth Vader's suit to clean.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I've been to a dry cleaners and you have to answer awkward questions at the best of times. It's like, is that burning Fleet Trooper?
Yeah. What's your favourite scene in Solo?
Kessel Run. Specifically,
Kessel Run's great.
Specifically, the bit where everything goes dark and it starts to just the lightning just starts to crackle across, and you start to see the maelstrom just kind of.
I would agree. I would go a little earlier and do the Star Destroyer.
I know you love that one.
That shot is, I would have that as a box canvas.
Well, you got a birthday this year.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I have one every year. Just don't tell anyone.
Oh, well, that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, I
suppose that's totally sensible. Yeah, beyond that,
I like Solo and Chewie on Dryden Voss's yacht, trying to do what Beckett wants them to do, but trying to misbehave at the same time.
Yeah, just trying his best to sort of look hard. He's walking around looking like tough, and yet, he's like, oh.
Actually, the scene of them escaping from Corellia is actually surprisingly tense. They're trying to get through the airport security.
Yeah, that is quite. Yeah. It's a good. I really love that movie. Yeah,
I love Solo. Yeah, I genuinely do. I think Solo's outstanding.
Yeah, it's very, very good. There's not a bad performance in that movie, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, the end bit with the coaxium.
Yeah.
With where Beckett comes in, it's revealed that he was wrong and all along. Mm-hmm. But it's a bit never going against a Sicilian when death is on the line. But it's that I know what I thought but he knew that he knew bit. I think is handled exceptionally well, and it's almost like the payoff of the heist movie we're all expecting it to be.
Yeah, I don't think that I thought that I was once. So then we have to pick one. Them's the rules.
Got a Rogue One corridor scene because of from a purely visual and cinematography point of view, the Rogue One corridor scene.
Okay.
For emotional impact or the significance to the grander saga, probably the Nova is another scene for me.
Okay, I'm going to stick with Episode 3 opera. Darth Plagueis the Wise. It's so good. It's just so good.
Yeah.
Soundtrack. So there's an interesting clarification here, which throws some questions. Other than the Force theme, main theme, and Imperial March, which then suggests
it's a piece rather than a soundtrack album. Okay,
yeah, that's fine. No, rather than a full soundtrack. Yeah,
cute. That's fine.
That works.
As long as we know. I love Rey's theme.
Okay.
So much. Yeah, and Rey's theme is amazing. I get that stuck in my head for no particular reason. I just love Rey's theme. I remember playing it a lot shortly after my daughter was born as well. So I have like some personal memories associated with that as well. She was quite small.
Yeah, that's
she's still small now, but
small. That's small.
Yeah.
Ideally,
I do really like that. I think that's kind of honorable mention because for me, not only is it my favourite Star Wars soundtrack, it is my single favourite piece of classical music is Across the Stars.
Okay. Nice. That's a good choice. I'm going to go for... I did have a really clear pick there. And I was going to say March of the Resistance.
It's good.
That's got a little bit of personal significance for me as well because we went to see the orchestral performance of John Williams' music.
Oh, yeah.
Not the one that plays along with A New Hope, although we did go and see that. They did one that was the Proms. It was just a celebration of John Williams.
Lovely.
And they did some incredible stuff.
It's pretty cool.
There were some notable omissions, like no Jurassic Park.
Oh, really?
They did Jaws. They did the main theme from Jaws. But then they did things like The Terminal, Memoirs of a Geisha. You realise just how prolific that dude is.
He's some loads.
Yeah.
I will say, if you get the chance, do listen to the Jaws soundtrack albums. It's one of those everyone knows the main theme.
Yeah, of course.
But the rest of it is superb, is outstanding. So if you get it, I dare say it's on Spotify or whatever other
similar program,
music streaming services are available. Now, the Jaws, listen to it as an album. It's outstanding.
Okay. I'll give that a go. It's easy. I suppose it's easy to kind of lose it in the background of the movie itself.
Yeah, so everyone knows the main theme, but it's almost unfortunate that overshadows the rest of it.
Yeah. But anyway, March of the Resistance. So that was one of the bits that stood out for me when we saw the John Williams tribute things. They played that as part of it, and that was sublime. Just everything about it was, and I like the fact, obviously I talked a bit earlier about how the scene where they turn up for the first time is so well done and so cool. particularly as you realise that actually Poe did survive, because at that point you've just had him left for dead and not seen him again. He turns up, and it's, you know, he's being his like incredible pilot self. Mm-hmm. There's all that going on. There's the whole skimming over the lake thing. It's too cool, you know. March of the Resistance is high on my list. I really love the throat singing stuff they put in there. So the opera scene and Snoke's theme both got throat singing in. They're both incredible. Just because I find that stuff impressive as well. Just on a
amazing.
technical level.
Duotone singing is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, I don't know what the piece is called, but it's the piece that it's playing throughout the Empire when the Falcons go through the asteroid field. You know the bit I mean.
I think it's just called Asteroid Field. I might be wrong, but I've got a feeling that's what it's just called, the Asteroid Field.
I think you're right, actually, now I think about it. And I think it also turns up in Solo as well.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Have you heard the Galactic Empire cover of March of the Resistance?
I think so.
Yeah, it opens up the second album just like this salvo of drums and guitars. It's amazing.
I'll bet, yeah. It's got to be pretty
what a band.
Heavy going.
Yeah.
But in a good way, you know.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to go with March of the Resistance. Much as I love the other pieces, that's the one that sticks in my head. Certainly from the new stuff, that's the one that really stands out.
What's your favourite non-John Williams one then?
Trouble is, my favourite one in Solo is John Williams because it's the Han Solo theme he puts in there.
Okay, I don't mind.
There's a piece, I'm not sure. The trouble is with Rogue One, the names I don't quite have.
Okay.
But the intro of He's Here, I think it's called, or something like that. Just the first where it just goes ding, and then it goes from there.
I think that's Hope, because that was going to be my answer, which is the corridor scene through to the end credits. It's just called Hope.
I'm talking about the one that literally opens the movie, the first shot.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about the corridor scene.
Oh no, I see what you mean.
No, I think it's
yeah. I think it's just called He's Here. I can double check it actually because I have the soundtrack for that one.
I just loved that opening blast.
Yeah.
Because all the way leading up to it, we were speculating, what's it going to be like without the main fanfare? What's it going to be like without the main theme? It's almost like the soundtrack. It just goes, I'm here.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
He's here for us. That's what it is.
Okay. Yeah.
That bit with just the sort of
yes.
Just that kind of build up is just really cool because it's almost like
I'll go and watch Rogue One now.
Yeah, I think I might have to. Thankfully, I've got this device just for such things.
Yeah. His data pad.
It's that's probably my favourite actually. If you go non-John Williams, because it's hard to not go John Williams.
Yeah.
But if you have to, that would be my pick.
Okay.
Final one for now. Because as much as I was saying, we'll see how we get on. Actually, we've managed to get a fair bit of conversation out of this. It's been good.
No, we did. So we got about an hour out of it. So that's fine.
Favorite Star Wars podcast outside the Commonwealth community.
Okay. Oh, you're gesticulating. This is quite a hard one for me because I don't listen to any Star Wars podcasts outside of the Commonwealth community. Purely because my time is limited. I like to support the Commonwealth. Other than that, my podcast feed is a few comedy podcasts and The Archers. So I would say it's not technically a podcast, but I would probably say the YouTube series Fire When Ready.
Okay. I suppose it doesn't count out of the part of the Commonwealth.
It would be hard to because it's not a podcast.
But that's true. But then it also doesn't count then.
Yeah. In that case, I just have no answer. I'm afraid there were a couple I used to do, and they kind of fell by the wayside, and I just never caught back up with them. I don't really have anything I can recommend. So I've got a couple of Star Wars Legion podcasts. Legion Outriders are very good, but I think that's all I really listen to. I'm not as big a podcast guy as Rob is.
No, indeed. So for me, I'm going to go with Actually, I think the first Star Wars podcast I listened to after TSW. So obviously, for a bit, for the bit of history, for those who aren't familiar, I started off as a listener writing in questions. And when I first listened to TSW, I thought, oh, Star Wars podcasts are cool. I wonder if there are any other good ones. And I found 3 that I really, really liked at the time. I found Talk Star Wars, and I found Tumbling Saber, and then I found Blast Points. The Blast Points are fantastic and just so funny. And they did a whole episode just about Lobot.
Okay.
And they just basically would pick, one slightly off-the-wall subject and just riff for an hour. They'd go away and do a bit of research, and they had a lot of there was a lot of interesting trivia about Lobot. Like he had dialogue in the French version, but not in any other. That sort of thing. Just things like that.
That's amazing.
But things like the stuff they did like that was just so fun to me. So Blast Points would absolutely be my pick.
Yeah. Okay.
And would still be today.
Are they still going?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. I'll give them a listen then.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they've. In terms of regular listening, they've unfortunately not been able to keep. I've not been able to keep up with them for quite some time. Mainly, as you rightly point out, I tend to also give the Commonwealth my time first, because why wouldn't you? Ultimately, we're fantastic.
Yeah. The whole point is it's all the best ones in one place.
Exactly. That's kind of the whole objective. So it makes sense to kind of to exemplify that and be a good example. Blast Points would be my pick.
Okay. Cool.
I know I've heard really good things about Forced Toast, which is a couple of it's a relatively new show, but it's a couple of ladies who just drink wine and talk about Star Wars, which sounds cool.
Yeah, I could hang out with them.
Yeah, it sounds like a good premise as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. And Forced Chatter is very good as well, actually. No, sorry, not Forced Chatter, Chatter Squadron, that's the name.
Okay.
Chatter Squadron, very, very good. Enjoy them a lot.
Okay.
What I've heard, so... Cool. Yeah, but Blast Points would always be my number one, just because it has. It also has a kind of a sort of
comedy vibe.
Comedy vibe and a nostalgic element to me, because it's like I say, it's one of the first Star Wars podcasts I found when I really first started getting into podcasting in the probably the biggest way since Gervais. When I was listening to those, if you exclude obviously the stuff I was doing myself, because obviously I'd go back and listen to those multiple times over. Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
they're fantastic. So I think that's a good place to kind of pause, and then we'll come. Like I say, next week we'll go through a few more of these. It looks like, let me just double check. So 6, 7, 8, 15, 18, and a bonus question. So that keeps us going for basically April.
Keep us going for a while. Yeah, that's good work, Bradley.
Exactly, nicely done. So
people don't save it enough.
No, this is true. All right, well, what's the word? Message received. So that's it from us this week at Talk Star Wars. Apologies, like I say, that we can't go for a little bit longer, but I am deteriorating rapidly. I can feel it as we're going along.
We need you alive on Saturday.
Exactly. And just in general, I'd say it's good for me to be alive.
But Saturday we're excited about specifically. We need you firing on all cylinders. So
totally.
Lemsip and Red Bull.
I can do that. I'm pretty sure I have access to both.
Good man.
Fairly easily. If you've enjoyed Talk Star Wars and you want to go back and have a listen through our catalogue or subscribe to catch the new episodes that are coming in the not too distant future, say next week, you can do so by finding us on all good podcasting platforms and some of the rubbish ones. But we are available on all, including but not limited to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube on the Emotionally 14 YouTube channel.
Yep.
Google Podcasts, Podcast Republic, all the Android-based ones.
All the good ones.
TuneIn, I think, iHeartRadio, Spreaker. You can get a embedded player.
Too many now.
There's so many. There's so many, but they've all got their own kind of unique hooks, I guess. So hopefully that's the appeal.
I assume.
Yeah, exactly. So you can find them all on there, and if there's one that you want to get and you can't, then let me know, and I can look into finding out why that's the case and making it not the case. And you can do that by emailing podcast@emotionally14.com. That includes if you want to write questions into us like Bradley, Vesuvi, and Andy have this week. If you want to support us, then you can go to patreon.com/talkstarwars and donate just $1 a month, which will get you an ad-free version of the feed,
which is drops like nothing.
Well, exactly, and it drops.
Spend more with that on Leatherslip and the ball tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, emphatically. I mean, I do that most days anyway. Yeah, well, not the Leatherslip so much, but it's kind of an overdose at that point, I guess. If you're not ill, it's the world's rubbish. This overdose because you're basically just lemon powder and aspirin.
It's in the top 5 worst in my opinion.
But yeah, podcast@emotionally14.com and patreon.com/talkstarwars will get you an ad-free version of the show, which drops a couple of days early. And you also get early access to the off the sort of satellite shows that we do, like TSW Comics and the TSW Roundtable with Tim and Rob Cast. And you can get those a week early by going to by signing up to the Patreon, and we make those available for you. You get like a special version of the podcast feed, which contains all that stuff. Obviously, that's not to say you should, by any stretch, not subscribe to the main one once you've done that, because it all helps,
Absolutely.
As I say, we're available on emotionally14.com. You can get an embedded copy of the podcast player there and get access to all the different shows that we've touched on so far when ready. We've got other podcasts available if you like video games, tabletop gaming on YouTube. If you like comedy, then I like to think we're everywhere in that respect. All the different podcasts and videos have all got a bit of fun in there, but especially the Crazy Train podcast.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm missing something. So there you go. Where can people find you on social media between shows if they so wish?
You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/BradHarmerBarnes. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RealBradHB, and you can buy my books on Amazon.
Excellent. And you can go on emotionally14.com and buy the books through there using our affiliate links. Nobody gets any less money, and we get a little bit extra for the trouble. So, it's a lovely way of supporting in addition to or instead of Patreon. If you want to go down that route instead, then you totally could. I can be found on Twitter and Instagram at RobWadeVision, and you can interact with me by tweeting either Emotionally14 or Talk Star Wars, and that's one way of doing it.
Yeah.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention the aforementioned Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. So bear with me a second. I'm just going to make sure I've got my up-to-date list of the shows available. Yeah. So the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network is a wonderful group of Star Wars and geek-themed shows that includes Talk Star Wars, obviously, the Tumbling Saber podcast, Kyle, the hardest working man in podcasting, Roussel, hosting that one, the Generation X-Wing podcast with Rob Williams and friends, the Nerd Room hosted by Tim and Troy and Sanjay, the Rogue Squadron podcast with Commander Cody and Mopar, the San Diego Sabres radio podcast with Steve Kirk and assorted other colourful characters, including a Rob. I'm pretty sure they've got a Rob. Tatooine Sons, Dave, Nate, and Samuel. Turbus. Sam, right? David, Nate, and Sam, yeah.
I only really listened for Turbus, to be honest.
That's fair. Retro Inc. with Adam, Andy, and Jeremy, and the Sandcrawler cast with Dan and Mike. So 9 fantastic shows, a multitude of fantastic hosts, and apologies if I've missed anybody off from that description there, or I've got their names wrong. I do apologize. But, it's a wonderful, wonderful network of shows, and you can get hours and hours of entertainment every week by visiting StarWarsCommonwealth.com and taking your first steps into a larger world.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening to Talk Star Wars. We'll be back next week with episode 164. Maybe some celebration stuff to talk about by then. Maybe not so much. It'll be the first day when we record, but I'm sure when stuff drops, we'll find a way to be as topical as possible with it. So in the meantime, thank you very much for listening to Talk Star Wars, episode 163. We will see you again next week for 164. In the meantime, be good to each other, and may the Force be with you.
That's not how the Force works.